Welcome back to Hey Charles. My name is Charles Ernst, and today we're going to be talking about the employee onboarding process. So that's the process when you hire somebody new and they come to work for you on day one. So let's get into it. Let me give you the scenario that I'm talking about. You've done a phenomenal job of marketing your company, marketing the position, enticing the candidate. You've talked about the compensation. You've talked about the benefits. You talked about the ins and outs of what your company does, what's expected of them, what you look to achieve. And you do this phenomenal job of really doing that well. And they say yes. So day one, they show up and it's an absolute crap show. Some of you know what I'm talking about, right? It's unorganized. It's something that if you were to do it, you'd be like, what the heck? Why am I doing this? And if you don't think that sends a strong message to that new team member that's joining you for the first time, you really better think again, because it really does. And it's a lasting impression that you got to dig yourself out of. And what I'm talking about is just having an antiquated system, right? Maybe you still do paper. It's 2024, guys, right? Electronic onboarding, that's more common than not. A lot of companies are doing it. And if you're not doing it, you need to start doing it, because that process needs to be very clear and concise, and it has to be easy, because people want to know that you're with the times, right? Especially if you're telling them that you're with the times. So if you told them that you're a forward-thinking company and they come in and they got to fill out a bunch of paper, then that's sending the wrong message. The second thing, if somebody is supposed to meet with them, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you, the owner. Maybe it's their boss. Maybe it's a HR person. Whatever that is, that person should be there and they should be on time. So when that new team member or employee walks in that door, that there's somebody there to greet them. I don't know how many times I've seen this, where somebody comes in and the reception, it's like, who are you again? What? Oh, you got to start work today? I mean, give me a break. What kind of impression are we really giving at that point? When they have to pick up the phone and actually call someone and go, hey, Bill's here today to start work, and nobody knows what's going on. Not a really good impression. So if you're going to have somebody start, whoever they're supposed to meet with, make sure that they're there. Make sure they're not in a meeting or they're too busy, because once again, you're sending the wrong message to that new team member, because you're basically telling them that they're not important. Their time is not important. Other thing, how about making sure that their workstation is ready to go? Making sure that, if they have a computer or they need an email address or they have a phone, they need to set up voicemail, whatever it is, whatever they're doing. A lot of times, I think people just phone it in because they just assume and spend so much time learning how to recruit people or tell people that they should come work for them that they don't spend enough time really just giving themselves that process, that's going to be essential to making sure that they have a good perception when they walk in the door. So some of the things that I've personally had happen to me is that some of those things that I just said, they did. I went to an interview. We went through this second interview. Everybody talked about how forward-thinking, how technologically advanced our company was. And I was super excited because it was something that I felt like I could benefit the company, benefit myself, and grow. And the first day was exactly like that. The person that was supposed to train me wasn't even there. Everything was so disorganized. People didn't know why I was there. And most of the time I was just trying to think to myself, did I come to the right company? Did I sign up? No. I had so much doubt in my mind at that very moment. That perception now became my reality. And every day after that, I just thought, maybe this isn't really what I signed up for. Maybe this is something that isn't really for me. So think about that. I know if I felt that way, I know other people feel that way. And if they're going through that whole entire process and everything continues to be unorganized, then guess what? You're going to have somebody that's not really vested in your company. And maybe those things aren't really true. Okay. Everybody has a bad day, but if you're not taking the time to make sure that that first impression isn't delivered well, then you're going to have some long-term issues, because that person or whomever went through that process isn't going to have the confidence that your company is going to get it dialed in. And you want people with confidence on your team. You don't want people that are doubting. You don't want people second guessing. So it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, maybe a little bit of money, to make sure that that process is incredible. So one of the things that I've personally done in my own organization is, it sounds simple, I put a checklist together, right? I put a checklist together that basically lines out what the new onboarding process is going to be for a new team member. Like everything from the time that they get there, or the things especially that should be set up beforehand, whether it's a workstation, whether it's their email, whether it's their phone, right? Where they're going to sit, make sure that they have pens and paper. I mean, it sounds like really simple stuff, but it's amazing how these little things can really make a huge difference on what people think when they come on board with you. So the other thing that a lot of people don't do, and this is something I don't understand, they don't really have kind of a roadmap lined out for the new employee. And I think that's really important to be able to hand them a piece of paper, okay? Or tell them when they open up their computer and log in with their username and password, that's all been set up, hopefully for them, right? Not making them do calling IT to get that all set up after the fact, being able to give them a roadmap of what their expectations should be, whether they need keys to something, an alarm code, where the copy machine is, where the bathrooms are, where the break room is. All these things are just small, but they actually make a huge difference. Making yourself, it's hard enough in this day and age to make sure that you're recruiting good talent. So I highly recommend that you don't blow it on something so simple as day one. And one of the things that I've learned from personal experience, it takes a long time to dig yourself out of that hole. Because after that, and once that employee has that perception that you don't have it together, guess what? Every single little bump in the road, and they're going to be, right? We all know that there's bumps in the road and everything, is going to be a big deal. So why take that chance? Why even create that obstacle for yourself? Why not take a moment and actually study the process? Actually, one of the recommendations that I would say that I actually learned in the Disney Institute, if you've ever taken that leadership training, is how they evaluate the things in their park, right? Or the ride. They actually go through the process themselves with a team of people and actually determine where some of the shortfalls are. And they pay attention to every single little detail. It's incredible. And why that really stands out to me and why I'm really sharing that with you is that, details matter. Whatever it is that you do or what type of business you have, whether this person's going to be in the office, maybe they're going to be out in the field, maybe they have a company vehicle, maybe they're going to be operating some equipment. It doesn't really matter. There should be a defined process. These employees should feel welcomed. They should feel that they're part of something that actually has their stuff together, right? I'm not even going to use the word I wanted to use. I'm just going to say, get your stuff together, right? Because you want that to be a great experience so that employee knows, that team member knows that they're part of something better that values quality. And if you're selling quality, whether it's a service or a product, everybody spends so much time, worried about the customer experience. People need to think about the team member experience, because if your team feels valued, they're going to value you. They're going to value your company. They're going to value your customer. If they don't feel that way, guess what? That mentality, that perception is going to come out. It's going to come out in their performance. It's going to come out in the way that they deliver your product or your service to your customers. So sounds like a really simple thing, or maybe something that's not really a big deal. And I think there's a lot of times that, people might phone it in or they'll get over it. It's not that big of a deal, but take some pride. Take some pride in what you do. Make sure that everything you do is meticulous, and make sure that process is good, and strive to make it great. A lot of the objections I get is, well, we don't have the time. We don't have the money. So I've worked with a lot of companies, and I have been able to help them streamline their process. I mean, we definitely do it with their benefits, but the whole onboarding process, the employee experience, and it's a lot of simple things. And we've been able to find the dollars, and it really doesn't cost that much. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and the willingness to actually go through the process and make it better. And I will tell you that if you do that, and you make that effort, and you make that small investment, then you're going to see that your longevity and the loyalty and the performance of those new team members are going to be vastly different. And I guarantee that it's going to be an improvement, because take it from me, a person who has been there and done that and been that performer that got recruited to go to a company and felt like, well, this isn't what I really thought it was. And yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that I left right away, but it was always in the back of my mind of how seriously I was taking what I was selling, because I always thought that if someone was willing to phone it in, I mean, how good is their product or service? So make that good impression. If you want more information about some of these solutions, right, that aren't really that expensive, technology is evolving every day and the price is coming down. And like I said before, we can find it, and we can find the money that you're already spending on other things and reallocate it. So a lot of times you might even save money, maybe be at a break even or at a slight cost. If you're interested in that, DM me and we can reach out and set up a call and have a discussion. So just to wrap it up, if you're going to go through the whole process of recruiting someone to come onto your team, make sure that first day is memorable. Make sure you're starting on the right foot. It's hard enough to get people and talent to come work for you to begin with. Don't blow it. Don't blow it on day one. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I highly encourage you to share it with someone you think needs to hear it, whether it's a fellow business owner or maybe it's your boss. I really don't know, but I really recommend that you share this, because what I'm talking about is something that's very easy to fix and good. And I highly ask you to subscribe, and you can find us on YouTube at HeyCharles Biz and on Instagram and TikTok, HeyCharles77. Thank you for listening to the show today. Talk to you next time.